Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome back to day 2 of the Climate Adaptation Summit 2021. I'm Iken Azwike and I'm here with my co-host Hajar Yagkoubi. Hajar, you're sitting so far away from me.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep my distance.
Oh, what have I done wrong? Okay. All right, we're here to discuss and connect two groups whose engagement is essential when it comes to accelerating climate adaptation globally, the youth and the private sector. And we've got two guests in the studio, and we'll have another guest or two joining us via video. I'm joined first of all by the chairman of the Dutch Sustainable Growth Coalition and the former Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Jan-Pieter Balkenende. Thank you very much for joining us. And also sitting here at the table, a former young leader from the Global Centre on Adaptation, Anna Casanti. Thank you very much. Joining us via video will be the chair of Public Sector Solutions from insurance giant Swiss Re, Veronica Scotti. Hopefully we'll have no connection problems today, and she'll be joining us, but we'll see soon. And from investment firm Temasek International, we have no one less than the CEO, Boon joining us. So looking forward to speaking to them as well.
Yes, and obviously I wouldn't be the young person together with Anna at the table if I wouldn't mention social media, Ikena. So to everybody, if there's anything interesting that you hear, please don't forget to Twitter. You can use the hashtag Adaptation Summit, and there's a chat function on the platform so that you can ask questions directly to one of our guests here in the studio. Now, before we continue the conversation with our guest, we have a short wrap-up video of the anchoring events that took place today. I'd say that this wrap-up video is a little bit more Hollywood than the others that we've seen, and let's take a look and see if you can spot why.
Why is it important to be thinking about building long-term resilience to these challenges?
I think by now everyone is starting to see the impact of climate change. The key challenge that I see is how do we tackle this and how do we make it possible for everyone? Even for small farmers in Belgium, but also small farmers around the world, to handle this.
Climate change is a reality. Its impacts are becoming more severe with every passing year. And we feel these effects every day. Higher temperatures, fiercer storms, more unpredictable rainfall, rising sea levels, droughts, and more bushfires. So we all recognize the need to act.
As a GCA Commissioner and the CEO of the largest infrastructure investor globally, I'm passionate about the role that the private sector can play in making our existing infrastructure more resilient and ensuring that the new infrastructure we build has climate resilience designed in right from the start.
CAS CEO of BRAC International, and Sheila Patel, the founder and director of Spark and Slum Dwellers International. It's great to see you both.
Today, we are gathering to shape the script for a new vision, a new future on adaptation through the Global Youth Call to Action on Adaptation.
Now, as that video shows, working together, collaborating is essential. And we're not just talking about collaborating across borders when it comes to solving our climate problems, but also across generations. Is that something you'd agree with, Mr. Balkenende?
Oh, yeah. If you want to reach success, you need cooperation partnerships. I'm wearing, of course, the pin of the SDGs, and number 17, as you know, is partnerships. And why? If you want to be successful to reach those SDGs, you need those partnerships, public, private, within sectors, but also across sectors. And I think this is really great. If you really can say we are working together, then you will lead to success. For example, if you talk about innovation here in this country, we talk about triple helix. You need and the businesses, and the government, and the knowledge centers. That's clear. Yeah. And in our own organization, let me give a concrete example. The most recent report is about plastics. So it's called Transition Time, a Circular Economy for Plastics. And we discovered that if you want to be successful, if you want to have new creative ideas, you must have the cooperation between businesses, governments, knowledge centers, and society organizations.
But what about youth?
Yeah,
youth
and
across generations.
Youth, it's key. You must have the connection. I talked with Anna about that. You must have the connection between leaders of organizations and young people. I always say to CEOs, talk with the young people in your own organization.
Are you being talked to? Were you talked to by the CEO of the GCA? while you were there?
Yes, of course. So I spent a time at the center, and it was really special because we had a little chat before, and seeing what's happening today, the importance of young people in the adaptation agenda is really important. We young people, we do want to make things different. We do want to have changes. But for that, it's really important that we have this equal seat in the table. And to have an equal seat in the table, it's important to have those partnerships. It's important that we can rely on people that bring us also there and help us to reach where we want. And one perfect example is this partnership between young people and the private sector. So I really think it's important, those interrelations between different generations, to make sure that we can show what we have, our innovative solutions, our creativity.
And the partnerships are good, but of course action is also important. And I understand you were part of an event that took place in the run-up to the to CAS in Groningen. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. So last Friday we had the Youth for Climate Adaptation Conference in Groningen, where we launched the first youth-led call to action, which was done by the Youth Adaptation Network from the Global Center in 15 consultations over the world. I was really happy to be part of those consultations, in which we really gathered what young people wanted from global leaders. So we asked it in different languages. We asked it for indigenous communities, for example, and all of this was composed in this global call to action that was presented to global leaders last Friday.
And it was a success.
Yes, I have to say.
And I think one of the things I'm sure that came out of that is young people want progress and they want it fast. So I turn to you, Mr. Balkenende. I mean, you're the leader of the Dutch Sustainable Corporation.
Growth Coalition.
Correct. Thank you very much. Which has existed for nearly a decade, and we're still talking about the need to accelerate towards climate adaptation. So what is it going to take to, or why is it going so slowly?
Now, let me make some remarks about young people. So there's a coalition of, let's say, 8 CEOs, but the daily work is done by young professionals, the liaisons as we call them. So they are organizing our events, but also they have internal meetings. For example, young professionals are talking about non-financial reporting or responsible sourcing or purpose transformation. So they learn from each other. And let me I mentioned Joanna, an example. Last year, we intended to organize an event. Of course, we had to postpone it because of Corona, but we said we will invite about 30 or 35 CEOs just to talk about sustainability. You're most welcome, but only if you take with you a young professional. There's also a symbol, meaning you must listen to the voice of young people. And it has to do with creativity, new ideas. We talk about the new economy. We see that the vested companies, the traditional ones, are working together with startups. Why? It has to do with new ideas, creativity. So, and we talk about the agenda of the SDGs. I see a lot of young people, they are committed, and what you've told is really a fantastic example.
But perhaps the CEOs aren't listening enough, though, to young people? Because just to go back to this idea of progress, why are we not there yet?
But first, let's say, if you talk about doing business today, it is about integration of sustainability of the SDGs into your business models. That's key. So that means that you must be honest. You must have the willingness to rethink your business model, your business strategy. And therefore you need the connection with younger people. How do they think about the business strategy? What kind of ideas do they have? Listen to the young people. And you can see that, for example, a company like Philips, a beautiful example. Traditionally they make bulbs and radios and so on. And today they sell light as a service. And why? Because it's a new view on the circular economy. And that approach of the circular economy is also being used for the medical equipment. And what I notice is that a company like Philips is taking benefit of contact with young people.
Yeah. That sounds good. That's good to hear that progress. Let's hear from a couple of other, one CEO and one very senior representative from the insurance giant Swiss Re to see what they're doing to fast track our path to climate adaptation. Miss Veronica Scotti is hopefully able to join us. Yes, there she is. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Veronica.
Of course. My pleasure.
tell me, what is your organization doing when it comes to listening to the voice of the youth in order to accelerate towards climate adaptation?
I want to build on the last comment that was made. I'm sorry I'm getting a little bit of echo, but I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
For us, it's fantastic. So it's really joining forces. So we really believe in having a very inclusive approach to tackling a problem that is everyone's problem, and it's going to affect everyone that is on Earth today, but it's very much also a problem for future generations. So we have to maintain curiosity in how we tackle these issues, and we need to think over a long time frame. So if I think about my organization as a representative of the private sector, and then in particular of the insurance sector, we believe what we bring is the financial capacity, but also the technical capabilities to address the issues. And we very much like to work in collaboration with governments and with academia. So I know we will hear from Temasek, and they're a perfect example of how PPPs can be put together. And together we've also collaborating, for instance, on the World Economic Forum, the Global Future Council for Nature-Based Solutions, which is out of all the various sustainable efforts that the world need, I think it's one that doesn't get enough attention. So with that, I just want to maybe spend a couple of minutes explaining what we can do as an insurance industry, and we need to do a lot more of. And I want to really compliment. I don't know if you have a couple
of minutes, Ms. Scotti. I can give you 30 seconds. Go for it.
I'll be brief. I'll be brief.
Specifically, what are insurance companies? You work with lots of different companies across the board. Why are so few still strategically incorporating climate adaptation into their business strategies when climate change is affecting all of them, infrastructure, supply chains, and so on?
I think that statement is partially true. I think the industry has still a lot to do, but has really mobilized very effectively. So if you take the Asset Owner Alliance, for instance, which is one of the biggest mobilizations that the world has ever seen from the private sector, it's really moving trillions in completely decarbonizing all counterparts we work with. And Swiss Re has been a co-founder of that alliance 2 years ago. So that's been massive. If we're looking at nature-based solutions, we really believe in the importance of scaling up. So we've done important projects that have both permanence and an ability of replication in the Netherlands, in Mexico, and currently we're working on a number of projects across Canada. And it, to me, is no surprise, right? These are the three countries that have really led the adaptation discussion globally. So I think we just have to do more to embed those lessons learned and that we get through specific projects and specific initiatives and make them broad standards that the entire industry can then adopt.
Very
and
clear.
where I'm excited about this.
Hold you there for 1 minute, Ms. Scotti, because one company that is doing more and arguably has adaptation, resilience as part of its DNA is Temasek and its foundation. I think we have Mr. Boon Heong on the line. Hello, Mr. Heong. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Can you tell us what challenges did you have to overcome to be in a position where adaptation is really, part of your DNA?
Hi, this is Boon. I'm actually CEO of the Temasek Foundation.
Okay.
Now, some of the challenges we face, I think number one, Singapore is an island state with rising sea levels. We understand that there is urgency and it is an existential threat to combat the effects of climate change. Now, I think there are a few considerations for us in regards to climate change and sustainability. Number one is really to set aside resources to support communities and environmental causes. So at Temasek, what Temasek does is that on an annual basis, a percentage of our returns above our risk-adjusted cost of capital is actually automatically set aside to support the common good. Now we give this money through endowments so that we can plan long-term and so that there's sustainability to the impact that we're trying to create over the long term. I think number two is really the leadership by example. At Temasek, we organize an annual Ecosperity conference. We coined the name Ecosperity because it's a combination of two terms, ecology and prosperity, because we believe that there is a balance between ecology and prosperity. I think the third thing and the final thing that I want to highlight is that we need to take a balanced and holistic approach, and collaborations, piloting innovative solutions for different pathway to success is very important, because the stages of development of different geographies, of different cultural aspects, I think we need to take that into consideration so that we can encourage companies, encourage governments, encourage private sectors, and even civil societies to come on board this journey.
Very clear. Thank you much. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to go now to a video which has some statements from other CEOs to get us a kind of a broader sense of what the private sector is saying.
The GCA is proud to be partnering with leading companies from across the globe as part of our youth leadership program, bringing new innovative ideas to life, building youth adaptation expertise, and empowering young people to drive adaptation at scale and speed. Our partners are amongst the world's leading companies at the forefront of sustainability and adaptation, and share GCA's commitment to youth innovation and climate action. Please count on us to cement these partnerships and build a climate-resilient world for all.
As the CEO of Macquarie and a Commissioner of the Global Commission on Adaptation, I support our teams in harnessing private capital to mitigate and adapt to climate change. And I firmly believe in the power of youth and their innovative ideas as a means to address these critical issues. And that's why Macquarie is partnering with the Global Centre on Adaptation on this youth leadership program to mobilise the next generation of adaptation leaders around the world and empower young people to make their communities more climate resilient in the face of growing climate risks.
There is true strength in youth entrepreneurship coupled with a strong sense of purpose. I have loved working for Mkupa for the last 5 years because of that. We are a young, vibrant team working hard to better the life and livelihoods of our customers. We have built the world's most advanced connected asset financing platform, using it to provide over 400 million worth of financing that has enabled over 1 million African customers to access solar energy, energy efficient fridges, smartphones, cash loans, and so much more. We are thus looking forward to sharing this knowledge on business startup and youth entrepreneurship through the partnership with the Global Centre on Adaptation and their youth leadership program.
Climate change is one of the biggest crises. Responding to this unprecedented call to action needs active involvement of an informed and connected youth. The young generation is innovative and determined to make a difference. Hence, it's important to channelize their energy and creativity. I would like to congratulate GCA for the Youth Leadership Program. It's a pleasure for Yes Bank to partner and take a step towards creating a more sustainable world. Thank you.
As Europe's largest seaport, Rotterdam is a vital lifeline, a vital artery for the Netherlands, Europe and the world. We work hard to become carbon neutral and to build a sustainable circular economy. Our strategy acknowledges the planetary boundaries, and we aspire to develop new future-proof earning models together with like-minded partners. Our success will be defined by combating climate change and on the new jobs we will create and on the impact we make on the society of the future. By embracing the challenges as opportunities, our port serves as a hotspot for innovation and for collaboration with the next generation. So we are honored to partner with the GCA's Youth Leadership Program and to support youth leaders in their initiative to shape a better world.
Climate change is the challenge of our lifetime. South Pole is partnering with the GCA's Youth Program because we recognize the power of young people to make a difference in the fight against climate change. I started my own climate journey as a young, idealistic environmental science student in Zurich in the 90s. Together with 5 friends, we founded South Pole. Now, I'm a bit older, but not less idealistic, and South Pole has grown to 400 passionate people around the world, working day and night to solve the climate challenge.
To confront and adapt to climate change, we need all hands on deck. Only a diverse set of people with varying backgrounds will provide the myriad of solutions we need. Innovations need to happen on all levels.
We need to support the current generation of young, passionate climate entrepreneurs, which is why we're reaching out to you. Join us. We are here to support your ideas for a more sustainable future.
Yes, Anna, you're from Brazil, but you currently live in Groningen. And you're also one of the retired GCA students from the leadership program. You know, we often hear about young people and their innovative ideas as a means to combat climate change. How do you hope that the youth leadership program can contribute to them being able to do that?
I think what is really interesting about the youth program from the GCA is that we tackle different aspects that are extremely important to really give this seat on the table, an equal seat on the table for young people nowadays. So as it's been said, we have different pillars, which is to educate, connect, advocate, and innovate. And we do have programs that tackle these different things. So, for example, the Solutions Challenge, which young people can really put out their ideas. But then, of course, if they just put out their ideas, this wouldn't go to anywhere. Yeah. So you have this internship program where they can connect to, for example, the private sector and really implement those ideas to put out there. So make sure that these innovations, it's not on their minds, and sometimes it's great, but we need a little bit of the help, second step. So it's really, really important. And of course, the Youth Adaptation Network that was I just mentioned with the Youth Global Call to Action, where we connect people all over the world, not only the ones that are already connected to climate changes, but young people that really wanted are trying to make this difference in the world. So this is how I see that the Global Center Youth Program can really change.
Yeah. And Mr. Balkenende, do you have any kind of concrete examples of the youth and maybe some of the businesses in your...
Well, all the companies that are part of the Dutch Sustainable Growth Coalition have youth programs, but let me give, as your question, one concrete example. Unilever has taken an initiative that will take place the next months. They will organize youth power hacks in 6 countries in the world, 3 in Africa, Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria, and then India, Indonesia, and Philippines. And it's all about inviting young people to think with the company about new views, ideas, creativity, and so on. So I think it's very nice that a company like Unilever is engaging the young people to reflect on what is happening in the world of today. So you can contribute as a company to have that type of dialogue.
Yeah.
And let's say, it is, of course, it's good to talk about the SDGs. It's good to talk about goals, but it's always about actions and also measurement.
But are they taking enough actions? I mean, I see one of the companies in your coalition is Shell, for instance. Do young people today want to work for Shell still? What do you think, Hajar? Would you be in the race? Would you queue up to work for Shell?
I think there's something to be said about like our generation being more and more seeing this term of decent jobs. For us, it's no longer just about working times and wages, but it's ever increasingly more about, what am I contributing to the state of the world in my work? And I think until we see ambitious climate adaptation and action from companies, I think it's going to be a bit more hesitant of an answer. I don't know about.
What do you think, Anna?
Yes, I totally agree. I think it's not only about the wages, what we are getting, but the purpose. So we need to make sure that we are working for something that makes sense for us. So this is really important also for the companies to understand that this new generation that is coming, we are willing to help, but it needs to make sense. It needs to be something that we are willing to do, and we need to believe in your organization.
Wow, I mean, this is quite confrontational.
But let's say the key element is, are companies willing to be part of the process of change, of transition? And if a company like Shell would say, we're not interested in the renewables...
Overall would say, we're interested.
No. They have, if you you can see that there's a strategy now of the Shell company to be involved in research activities. The renewables is the future, but the question is how. So first they said gas instead of coal, then more gas than oil, and next step is the renewables. And I think it's good that a company like Shell also is engaged and is involved with young people to talk about these processes of transition. And if you are doing things in the right way, then you can be a source of hope. And therefore it's so important to talk with young generations. I think this is the best way to do.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I wasn't just sure what I heard. Is Mr. Heong still available? Yes, let's go to him.
Yes,
Let's hear from Temasek, because I feel as though you guys have already taken that next step, and you're hearing about these young people who are ambitious to create change. Are these exactly the sorts of recruits that you're looking for? Oh, you shook your head there. That was a bit worrying. That was a little worrying.
No.
I was agreeing with you. I was going to say that in Singapore and Asia, the youths are the same. Now, the youth see all of their assets as equal. They are everyday change makers. They believe in the power of activism. They care about social causes rather than institutions. They use their collective voice to support others and the greater good more than ineffective partisan politicking. And they engage with causes and they're influenced largely by the peers. Now, at Temasek, we believe that engaging the youth is really core and key to us. We simply want to leave the world in a better shape for future generations. And the future lies in our youth. And what better way for us to do this than to be plugged in with them and to engage them in important decisions of today and for the future. Now, we run many programs together with our Temasek Foundation. I'll just highlight a few examples. We run an annual youth, again, eco-prosperity dialogue program, where there's a youth track that's run together with corporate commercial sectors, the main eco-prosperity program, where we intersperse the youth together with corporate commercial leaders as well, so that they can have a dialogue. We also run environmental camp, where we bring students together, not just in Singapore, but also in Asia. We have a mixture, about 50% of them from Singapore and 50% of them from overseas. These are short, high-impact thematic programs that focus on learning, bonding, and building a network of like-minded youths from Asia and beyond the region. So I think that the partnership, the potential partnership with GCA is an important one, because we could bring the networks of youths in Asia together with Europe as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Heong. Okay, let's bring it back to the summit. Mr. Balkenende, what, if you needed to pick one thing that had to come out of the adaptation action agenda, out of this summit, one thing that it should deliver, what do you think that would be? What would you say?
Inspiration, because we cannot wait, and that's the good thing with this summit, that you're real understanding it is a world that has to change. So it is awareness. That's one. The second point, and
I did ask for one.
But
No,
okay.
But
the second one is, we must be very concrete. We cannot wait. We need actions.
Yeah.
And this has to do with a global issue. We talk about climate. So we need each other in this world. So if such a summit as this can contribute to the awareness, but also to take more actions, then you can make the difference. I think this is a really key element.
Yeah. And you, Anna?
I would say dialogue. I think it's something that we saw a lot here at the summit, and bring it back to youth that we are here to talk about today. This honest dialogue between generations, because all of us can win out of it. So I would say just keep this dialogue, keep it open, and really listen to each other to make actions concrete to happen.
Yeah. Very clear. Hajar, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, maybe to add on what Anna said, I really agree that dialogue is key. And maybe also, structural dialogue. So very often we see that young people sometimes are invited to sit at the table, but then it's just a standalone one-off event, or it's that they're always dependent on the goodwill of some CEO or some department to include them. So I would say structurally giving them a seat at the table in that dialogue would be key to that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fully agree.
Fantastic. Well, we're all in agreement.
That's good, right?
Great way to end.
Yeah.
Amazing way.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. And we are at the end, everyone. We're going to leave you ready for the final session of the first 24 hours of CAS. No, that makes no sense whatsoever. We'll soon be going over to Sacha de Boer, who's going to lead the closing of the Climate Adaptation Summit. Keep watching, keep talking to us, keep engaging, share your ideas, and we'll see you soon for the next CAS Talk. Back. Oh. Oh, oké. Ik zag de rode lichten en mijn gezicht daar. Ik dacht, oké. Hello everyone, back very briefly just to say that you can stay on the platform in order to watch another video wrap-up showing some CEO statements. So enjoy that and be sure to tune back in for another CAS Talk soon.
We're a leading global advisory, broking, and solutions company that helps clients turn risk into a path for growth. We design and deliver solutions that manage risk, cultivate talent, and expand the power of capital to protect and strengthen both institutions and individuals. This unique perspective allows us to see the critical intersections between talent, assets, and ideas. And that's really the dynamic formula that drives business performance. We hope to share some of that knowledge with youth to improve their capacity to turn risk into business opportunities and help build a more resilient and prosperous world.
With a current renewable footprint of over 43 gigawatts and major commitment for further investments in green energy, the Enel Group is leading the transition to a renewable and resilient global energy system, powering a more climate resilient world. We see clearly the impacts of growing climate risk as well as the urgency of accelerating climate ambition. We are therefore delighted to partner with the Global Center on Adaptation in support of the Youth Leadership Program in order to help empower the next generation of leaders in driving forward adaptation solution and climate action.
Youth has great courage, innovativeness, and willingness to fight against uncertainty. They are the leaders of not future but of today also. We rely on our youngsters to fight against climate change and to make a better world. We are proud and honored to be associated with Global Center for Adaptation, who are engaging youth to fight and win against climate change.
I've spent almost 25 years at UPCO Worldwide, and in that time, I've seen immense changes in our world and in the challenges faced by our clients. Today, the topics of climate change and sustainability are driving so many global conversations, but are also inspiring the next generation. We believe young people are powerful agents of change, and we're delighted to partner with the Global Center on Adaptation, contributing to the training of today's youth to harness their creativity, passion, and energy to build climate resilience and to fight climate change.
Adaptation, resilience, climate action, all these are embedded in the Temasek DNA. It drives the investment strategy and it also encourages the portfolio companies to go on their own sustainability journey. Now, Temasek aims to halve its net carbon emission attributable to the portfolio companies by 2030. For Temasek Foundation, we empower the community through our innovation challenges and the research grants. And the youths are energized through our networking opportunities and also our thought leadership programs. And all that energy, we hope, will be synthesized to power the young leaders and also the entrepreneurs in Southeast Asia and beyond.
At Schiphol, we are committed to sustainable aviation, towards net zero emissions. That will require a lot of effort on mitigation and also, in all likelihood, on climate adaptation. We will need investments, but above all, we will need innovation and we will need talent. And that's why we at Schiphol are very happy to partner with the Global Center on Adaptation and especially with the Youth Leadership Program. And we are looking forward to working together.
The world is facing a climate crisis
growing in urgency, but also in our collective awareness. As a risk knowledge company, we believe in harnessing the power of including diverse perspectives and fostering innovation as means to addressing the climate challenge heads-on and developing long-term resilience. Swiss Re is therefore delighted to be partnering with the GCA on its Youth Leadership Program and contributing to building adaptation expertise amongst the future generation of leaders.
We are leading climate efforts in financial sector in Bangladesh, and we are happy that GCA has chosen Bangladesh as their regional headquarters. We're happy to partner with GCA in terms of identifying the new general professionals who are interested in adaptation techniques and who can lead in terms of changing the society as well.